Let's all focus up. Thank you for being here, and good morning, the Sunday of JordanCon. How do we feel, everybody? Okay, so yesterday was a really big day. We're going to talk about it and speculate about season 2 in this panel, but before we do that, we're going to introduce ourselves so you know who the heck we are and why we're up here, or at least, I don't know. So let's start at the end and we'll go down the line.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom Koza. I'm a member of JordanCon, the Wheel of Time showcast. So we do a pod about the show and how the books are being adapted into the show, and it's a pleasure to be here. Hi everybody.
Hi Tom.
Hi Tom.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm also known as Bain and Chiad. I am on a couple things, Threefold Talk, which is a live stream on Mulcair Talks' channel, where we talk about Aiel related topics and the show and the books. And I'm also on a podcast called The Lights Work, where we talk about the Wheel of Time fandom in general. And I'm just excited to be here.
My name is Jen, and I am also on Talk Around Riyadh with Tom. So since he already just described what that was to you, I think that's all I have to say. I love Wheel of Time, and I'm happy to be here.
Talk Around Riyadh also absolutely slays in the Watt Idol competition every year.
Yes.
You can all agree with that. We got a Igloo this year, right? Which absolutely slaps. So if you haven't seen it yet, you should go check it out.
Well, we can do a live performance of it right now.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's fun actually.
Let's just see if we don't fill the hour. Well,
If you start to fall asleep, we'll just...
Yeah, we'll kick it up a notch. I'm Critter XD. I'm the moderator for the panel, even though I'm not sure that's what's listed in the program, but you know what? We decided amongst ourselves. And I am on TikTok as Critter XD. I've got a YouTube. Wine Spring Cafe, Beer and Tavern, and I do the Wheel and Chill show live on my YouTube most weeks. And you know, I'm on Instagram. We've got a Discord, and I'm Egwene on Twitter. So, you know, I've got a bit of a social media addiction, and that's all we got to say. So, speaking of Aiel things, we got some amazing news yesterday at JordanCon. The Wheel of Time show sent JordanCon a video with several super fun things in it. Bain and Chiad, what was your favorite?
what it says on the tin.
Yeah, that was incredible. How many people were there at that panel yesterday? Nice. Yeah, I kind of blacked out at the beginning. Like as soon as I saw the very first shot was the 3 Aiel, like I knew what it was going to be, and then I just blacked out. And then thank God for Roger. Roger, are you here? Yeah. So Roger like found it on YouTube and like slipped me his phone, and I was just like going rewind. So yeah, we got hand talk. We got like full costumes pretty much. We got confirmation of Bain and Chiad. And they all seem really adorable, and like they are close, you know, as actors and Spear sisters, and I think they're going to be amazing. Funny, talking about wanting to take spears from the set. I think that's the perfect answer.
I feel like all the cast that we saw in the video yesterday really showcased how well they knew their characters. The Sheriam video wasn't exactly Sheriam, but it was.
Can we talk about that?
It was delightful. I will say though, before we talk about the Sheriam video, that you know the person Jennifer Cheung playing Leon Sheriff, she was talking about how she knows about loyalty and how they're similar in that way. Jay Duffy, who's going to be playing Dain Bornhald, was talking about, you know, rooting out dark friends. Like, I feel like they all it seems like they understand their characters really well, and that gives me a lot of hope. Tom, what are your highlights?
Yeah, I picked up on that as well. The Jay Duffy interview, I thought, or you know, his monologue thoughts about the character were really interesting to me because the way he talked about it was not, hey, I know what I'm doing in season 2 and maybe season 3, but he kind of like the whole arc of Dain, and that is something that excites me on multiple levels. One, because he's invested, and two, because the show is still really thinking about this as we're adapting this series, and that's how we're looking at it, and we're casting characters with the understanding of what their role is in this whole thing, right? So I just love that was the mission statement for season 1, and that still seems to be the mission statement. That was something that was really exciting to me.
and speaking of the whole series, we do want to do a spoiler warning for the beginning of this, since we haven't spoiled anything yet. We are going to try our best to stick to the first 4 books, and if we go past them in any way, yell it out before it happens, okay? So what about you? What were your highlights from yesterday?
I mean, I was saying beforehand that because of the way we always talk about the show, or always finding out show news, leaks, I just wanted something that was gonna just be something new that we didn't know or that we weren't expecting to see. And I think when the 3 Aiel opened that video, I literally jumped to the edge of my seat and I was like, oh my, like just, that was like, I knew like Aiel were gonna be in the season, but just to see that as the first shot, that was like, okay, like here we go, they got it, like they look amazing. And yeah, like you said, their relationship together, their humor, and like the way they were like, I think Chiad, in opening Chiad said like, oh, I'm like my character because I can't get along without Bain. Thought that was so cute. That part just floored me. I was like, okay, now it's like a good way to open it up.
Yeah, so there was some obvious stuff, like we know some casting things now based on that video, but there is always more to speculate about. So they were in a room for a lot of the interviews. The Aiel were, I believe Rafe was, Sarah might have been, and it was so lovely to see Sarah, by the way. And they said that it's going to be featured in both season 2 and season 3. Since this is a season 2 speculation panel, I feel like it's worth speculating about where they are. Grace, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my thought was Stone of Tear, although I guess the floor was dirt. I didn't notice that, but
I didn't either.
Yeah, so someone was like, it can't be the Stone of Tear because it's dirt, but to me, like the columns and the fact that there were Aiel there, that's what it brought to mind for me.
Okay, Tom?
So I don't think it was a Stone of Tear for a reason I'm gonna talk about later on in the panel. But when they showed it, they also gave some clues as to what was happening in that scene. They mentioned taking off and putting on clothes, water, blood. And in the background, to my eyes, I saw something that looked like an arch. I think this is where the accepted tests are going to be taking place.
That was my first instinct, but now I have a second instinct, but I'm going to wait until you go.
I wasn't sure at first. I know Tom immediately said like it's the accepted test. So I think that's that's a big possibility, but I also saw a carving on the wall that kind of looked like a shield with spears to me. So I thought it could be something Aiel related, maybe like Hold Rocks Hold. So I'm flip-flopping back and forth between those two things.
Okay, so I was actually thinking an accepted test initially because it looked like they were arches, and I was like, that's it, easy. And then I got to thinking, the Aiel are standing there. If it's in season 2 and season 3, and season 3 is probably going to be book 4. Now I'm thinking Ruidian, because there's columns there too. So that's so funny, by the way, that we are all on different pages. And we've got so much more to talk about. So we find out more. It's very exciting. So. Do you want to get into the characters? Everybody comfortable with that? Or we have?
Sure.
Oh, actually, no. We didn't talk about Sheriam yet. How
The video
amazing was
speaks
that?
for itself.
You're right. Yeah, go watch the video. We've got the official casting for Sheriam, and she seems like just an absolute delight. So okay, let's get into this. We're speculating about season 2 here, so let's speculate about season 2. We decided one of the best ways to kind of break season 2 down was going to be by going over the characters, because Rafa said that they're going to kind of be on their own journeys this season, right? And so we're just going to kind of follow their threads and see where we think they might end up. And starting with our boy Rand, who's strapped to a wheel, which is like just so symbolic in my opinion. Tom, like, how do you feel about, where's Rand going?
I don't know, but wherever it is has a very good gym. Anyway, there's things that I think that we've seen in some of the revealed Sizzle reel footage and things of that nature, that at least at some point I think he's going to be in Carrion. You're going to get that parts of the books. I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same way, because I don't think he's going there from the same direction. My conjecture, and this is conjecture, is that he's going to be retreating to Carrion from Fom. I think that it's going to start off, and he's going to be as far away from everyone else as possible. And then when the Shanshan come, he's going to run away. there's going to be a little bit of like trying to run away from his destiny thing that he's going to be dealing with this season. And then his destiny, much like this, kind of locks him down and he gets forced back onto the path that Perrin has.
Okay, so are we thinking a little bit of Celine and
I do.
Karian or before?
I think so. I think that, and I'm very curious as to how this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And like, I wonder if they're going to do the same thing that the books kind of do, where you don't know at first who this person is, and then it's kind of retro revealed.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to manage to surprise even book readers, or will we know immediately, Grace? What do you think?
I think there'll be some surprises. Dana is a perfect example from season 1. We didn't see that coming, even though we knew that Matt and Rand had encounters with Dark Friends during their journey. So I think there will be, and there might be some clues that when we see Celine/Lanfear, but I have no doubt that the writers will work in some surprises.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you think we're getting portal stones, or are we going to meet her in another way?
I don't think we're getting portal stones. I kind of think he's just going to be traveling, come across her, then end up in Cairhien in kind of the same way, and then somehow meet up with Moiraine and Lan, who seem to be there. And I think that, not to jump to a new character, but I think that they have maybe some stuff going on with her history. That's why she might end up in Cairhien. So yeah, and then maybe Celine will kind of ditch him at that same point.
Okay.
I just don't know what is he just running away? Like at what point in this is he gonna realize like, oh, I'm not done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't finish what I was supposed to do at the end of season 1. Like I need to do more.
Sure, yeah. Okay. Do you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't know about portal stones, but I think probably waygates, because we know there's like at least 2 or 3 new waygates we've seen in the teaser trailers. And as far as like plot-wise, I'm not sure. I'm not really great with plot prediction, but thematically, I think we can tell from what we've seen so far that we're definitely going to see a lot of like trauma Rand happening. That image of him walking like with, I think Moiraine and Lan are with him, and it's like red, and he just looks so dark. Like, we're getting, I was gonna go there, Beth, but yeah. So, and then there's the other one where he's like sitting there, kind of brooding. So I think we're gonna see a lot of darkness from Rand this season compared to first season.
For sure. I'm still crossing my fingers that whenever he meets back up with Lan, we get some sword training, just because I'm a sucker, that's a nostalgic factor for me. All right, yeah, Rand, he's gonna do his best, bless his heart. Do we think, so actually there was something that I was considering, because this is supposed to be books 2 and 3, Kalendor, the Stone of Tyr, all of that kind of how it happens in book 3. And I just am simply not sure we're going to have time for that. So part of me thinks that that's going to get pushed to 3, or even like after they go into the waste and come back. Does anyone have any strong thoughts about that?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Okay.
And I've been saying this for a while, like at least as far back as last year. I don't think that Tyr is in this season at all.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think that they may be even to the point where when they come back over the Dragon Wall, maybe they don't go to Cairhien.
Yeah.
And I think that you can push all of that to after the waste.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, because like we've got the Aiel, and then we go hang out with the Aiel, and then we bring the Aiel back, and so it's like, let's just do it all in one go.
Right. Yeah, I think originally we were like, okay, they're gonna go to Farm in episode 6, and then they're gonna go to Tyr for the last 2 episodes, and everybody, I'm like, there's just too much fighting, there's too many armies, there's already like 3 armies
That's so
supposedly
much.
Fighting at this, at the culmination of Farm, it looks like to us, so
Yeah.
we definitely don't have time for Tyr.
Yeah. Okay, so audience question, everybody pay attention. Are they going to Tyr in season 2? Raise your hand if you think yes.
Whoa.
Okay, maybe a little less than 50%, so we're torn. We're torn here. Time will tell, I guess. Thanks, Rand. Moving on. Matt Coffin. Okay, so this one is fun, right? He's starting in a weird place. We didn't expect it, but Matt was always going to eventually be in Tar Valon, right? So, are we gonna get like Matt being healed in the tower in the book vibes?
I just need to pause y'all real quick. I'm sorry. Does anyone in here know Dimitri Hamilton? No.
I don't know.
I have to know why.
I know. I want to know more.
You might be-
Like cast reveal? It's okay, whoever he is.
Okay, so let's focus back up. Thanks, everyone. Sending Demetra Hamilton good vibes.
Demetra Hamilton in season 2.
Okay, so Matt is going to be in Tarvalon at least at some point in the season because of those clips that not me, but you guys actually got to see. So that's actually kind of cool that you're here. What's the vibe with Matt like in what you've seen? And do you think this is going to be early season and he's going to leave to catch up with people for the Horn, or what's going to happen?
He's like really the person I feel like I can figure out the least what he's going to be doing.
Okay.
Obviously, we saw he's in Tarvalon. We saw a scene between him and Leandrin, where he dips his finger in her honey cake, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Why is that all you're going to say about that?
Tell us more.
Picture it now. Well, he's trapped in the tower and he's trying to chisel his way out, Shawshank Redemption style, basically, in the scene we saw. But as far as healing him, I'm kind of not sure that we are gonna do that.
We're just done.
I don't even know, but like we might be done with the dagger. Like I don't think the dagger does what it's supposed to do in the show, or what it did, you know, like the way it kills people or poisons them. And I just think we might be done with that whole bit, and then he'll have to, I don't know, like Bail Doman is in the season, so could he be meeting up with him at one point and getting to Fawn that way? I just don't know. Why is he chasing the girls? Because he found out something happened with them. Are we doing that? Like I'm 2 and 3 Matt. Like he does nothing really in 2 except blow the horn.
Mm-hmm.
And like why does he just like stumble across a horn on the floor, pick it up and blow it? Like what? I don't know. I just don't know. Like,
Okay,
kind of, right? That's kind of what happens to the girls.
I just go back to what was Matt's primary motivator in season 1, which was his sisters. Like he just wanted to get back to his sisters and protect them, take care of his family. So I think he might try to make his way back to the 2 rivers. You know, if he has to beg, steal, borrow, gamble, find Bail Doman, whatever. And we know that they're rebuilding the 2 rivers set. We've seen images of that. But I don't know beyond that. Like maybe something else happened there that's going to make him realize he needs to go help his friends to fight against the dark side. I don't really know, but that's just kind of my thing. I think we're going to hear and see and feel more about his motivations, and maybe those will change too. Maybe it will expand to maybe include his friends more than just his family.
I just thought of one thing from what you said, like the fact that he's more of a protector in the show, like is a motivator for him if he finds out that the girls are in trouble, like more of a motivator for him to, well, I couldn't stay with my sisters, but I'm going to protect, you know, my friends and try to help them.
But it'd be very Matt too to hop on a ship to be like, I'm going to the 2 rivers, and then the pattern's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. So yeah, very, very fitting. How do you feel about Matt this season?
Yeah, I think that they're actually spot on with that. And there was an interview that he did after a convention in Brazil, I think, where he talked about like a lot of his character journey for him is more, to your point, less plot oriented, more character oriented. It is about him like reckoning with his desire to run away from things versus do things, etc. And I do think that Jen's spot on. I think he's going to find out that the girls were in trouble, that they were tricked somehow in going to Fall.
By girls, yeah, we're talking.
I say the girls.
Not the girls, but the Wonder Girls.
I hope he yells that again. Yeah, every season I just want to yell, where are the girls?
But like, then he finds out that Egwene and Nynaeve and I would assume also Elayne are in danger, and he'll have an opportunity. This will be his pivot point. He'll have an opportunity to leave, or an opportunity to do the right thing, and he's going to reckon with his choice in season 1 to not go and make a different choice, right? And I think that's going to be character-wise where he's at. The plot logistics of how he gets there, I do not know. They're shredded of mystery. But yeah, I think that's it.
I like the idea of Bail. I say his name wrong every time because I read it in my head first. But no, I like the idea of Bail Doman being there and kind of acting as Stranger Things. We didn't get to see Matt and Rand on the ship in book 1/season 1, so it'd be really nice to see it in season 2, in my opinion. But yeah, he's a big mystery. Are we all hyped though for Donald?
Yeah. He's very good. Like in the scene that we saw, he's very good. It was very encouraging, and like that's he's like your favorite character on the show, right?
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to see him do whatever he's going to do, even though it seems like such a mystery, especially because we know that they're not going to have to change his plot halfway through the season, right? Like, we're going to get a good Matt arc. Speaking of Matt, yes?
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about this image and then what you saw in the little clip? Is he dressed like this in the clip you saw?
I think so.
Yeah.
The question is, was Matt in the clip dressed like Matt in the photo?
Yes, he's not as dirty.
Okay, so that's what I want to know. So I think that's important. So if you think of Matt post his Tarvalon scene, so the question you have to ask yourself is this scene before he ends up in that scene? Do you believe that what we're seeing here is before or after?
I believe it's after. To Jen's point, like, and I don't want to like, but they reveal it to us, I'll reveal it to you guys, but you can't tell anybody, right? You either. Right, like that. The scene ends like you think he's in prison and whatever, and there's this whole interplay scene, and there's a lot of like cute sexual tension or whatever. We're calling back to like the Matt and Perrin older ladies, like season 1, right? And then it ends, and he clocks Leandrin's steps leaving. Here's like all like lock, blah, blah, blah. He's had it all timed out, and then you see he's carving an escape path, right? And to me, I mean, whatever. Maybe I'm making a leap here, but he's carving to try and get a tunnel. This guy looks like he's been through it, like literally rolling around in the dirt. To me, it's a post. I think that the first time you see him will be in the tower.
Is this not his outfit from season 1, or is this totally different?
I think it's the same.
It's the same. There's another scene where I think he's got an extra, or he's lost the bag. I'm not. He used to have the shoulder strap bag.
We're gonna have to believe he's in the same exact clothing in season 2 as season 1.
I think to start. I would imagine. Hey, you're a prisoner. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Plus, an identical costume helps with the actor change.
Yes.
Yeah, to start.
I mean, he does look. It's very seamless. If you weren't us and you were just like a casual observer of the show, you might not even know. Because the first season was 2 years ago, so maybe you don't really know what the guy. Remember what the guy looks like? He's got the same haircut, the same voice, the same clothes. Oh, like
Not like a Dick York Sergeant thing from
yeah.
Okay, one question. If this is about Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
So do you think they're going to combine the Thailand arc with him being captured in the tower and
Oh wait, hold on. Wait.
Oh, no spoilers past book 4.
Yeah, no spoilers past book 4.
Alright.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Matt,
I have a question. In that interview that Tom mentioned at Brazilian Comic-Con, Donald mentioned that he saw the Kyrian sets. He commented on them. So do you think if Donald goes to Kyrian, how do you think they would work that in if he's going to Kyrian?
So the question is, it sounded like maybe Donald got to go to the Karian set for some reason. If Matt's going to Karian, what's the vibe? You look like you might have a thought.
No, the thought is like every time I think I have the puzzle mostly figured out, there's like 4 extra pieces that don't fit. I don't know how that works, right? Especially where I think like character-wise his plot goes, like Carrion's not. I mean, it's not really on the way, right? So I'm hoping like he just went to the set to look at it. Like that's what I'm saying.
That makes sense to me too.
Yeah, like maybe he was on the Tarvalon set and he just walked past the Kyrian set. Like an indoor set of Kyrian. Yeah.
Sure. All right, Sulin, one more question about Matt, then we gotta keep moving.
Just like we know there's a time jump, so like do you think that's going to factor into it? And maybe like the tower bit's actually a flashback and he's already left?
Ooh.
I feel like I don't actually know this for sure. Allie from Wheeltex would probably be better at this than me. But like, as far as using like gratuitous flashbacks, that feels like less of an effective narrative device than having something more linear. Even if there's like a time jump initially, that seems like something that's easier to digest, easier to understand. And seeing Matt in the tower, in my opinion, could be kind of fun. Like, but I don't know how long it's gonna last. So that's my thought. Okay, next character. Let's go. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was a gift until I did it. And it literally,
Try not to get distracted by that.
I did say season 2 was the trauma season, so just get used to it.
Okay, season 2 is indeed the trauma season, so I think this one might be the most predictable arc for us because we know where she ends up, right? Do we think they're going to deviate at all? Grace, how do you feel like Wayne's going to be this season?
So I originally thought that pretty quickly we would get the Leandrin Shanshan plotline, but based on Rafe's comments yesterday, I think we might actually spend a little bit more time with them in the tower because he talked about being excited about exploring that and what it's like to be a novice and all of that. So it sounds like we'll dig into that a bit. So that part won't happen until later in the season, but I agree. I think it will be pretty straightforward to what it is in the books. We know we're getting the Egwene and Rena scene because Rafe has commented about that. So I think we'll be pretty spot on with that.
Yeah, anybody think there'll be a deviation?
I think the only change might be who's becoming accepted in this season.
Ooh.
Because we're probably not coming back here, like in the same way to train after this. I would think we're gonna move into Shadow Rising, and then like when's the opportunity for Egwene and Elayne to go back? And it would be weird if they did that like in 2 consecutive seasons. It's kind of the same way they do it in the book. So, I mean, they already kind of set Egwene and Nynaeve's power levels similarly. So maybe they're both going to be, maybe, I don't know if all 3 or just Egwene and Nynaeve might both become accepted before they leave the tower.
Yeah, that makes me wonder like how long the time jump will be, just because, you know, you don't want it to be too easy. The Nynaeve thing makes sense because she's a wilder and she's done some wild stuff before this. But Egwene, like I feel like I want her to earn it, and so I want to see her earning it. Granted, she did heal somebody from almost dead, so you know, like she's obviously got some really strong powers, and I want to see an accepted test, at least one. I'm not sure if they'll do 2 just for time's sake. Do you think we're gonna get Nynaeve's, Egwene's?
I think you might get Egwene's. And I think if they do a time jump and the season starts off and they're already in the tower, and they may start off and Nynaeve's already accepted, and the test you get is Egwene's. I definitely think that you're going to see one. I think it's too important, and I think that Egwene's accepted test has more resonance in the story. Even though I don't think it's as cool necessarily, right? Because, you know, Nynaeve is awesome and Shag breaks it. But like, you know, but Egwene breaks it in a different way. And I think that has more, like, there's more threads to pull on that test as the series progresses.
It does. Sorry.
I just wanted one comment. I agree with you about like Egwene's test kind of meaning more for the story, but we do know that someone has been cast as Nynaeve's mom.
Right.
We think potentially someone was cast as Nynaeve's mom. So I'm not going to say her name because. All right, I will. It's Elnor Snur is the name. No, that's a joke. Sorry. But anyway, so to me that because we know that her first time through the Arches didn't happen in the show. They might use a flashback to like when she lost her parents as her first time through the Arches.
I also hesitate because episode 8 of season 1 had the same kind of vibe as some of the stuff in Egwene's accepted test, and we're not going to want to like rehash. So I think it could be cool to see Nynaeve, especially because like, man, if Egwene gets her acceptance test and then she goes to, you know, Shanshan and is getting tortured, that's going to be like an Egwene forward episode or season, which y'all know I'm fine with, but like I feel like they might try and spread it out a little bit. Beth?
All right, I have a question. Do you guys think that they're going to make Egwene's journey as a dreamer a focus in season 2? Because if you remember when she was on the ship, she went to They thought she might be a dreamer, and so that was when Perrin gave her the dreaming tear on Grial. Do you think they're going to kind of gloss over all of her dreaming ability until later?
I think that her dreaming ability is kind of intrinsically tied to the Aiel, just because a lot of her training happened with the Aiel, and since presumably season 3 is going to be very Aiel heavy because it's basically book 4, so from what we've heard, part of me thinks they're going to kind of like wait, like hold off on that until we get the wise ones and we start really training her up.
But do you think they might, because she's suspected of being a dreamer, that's how she found the wise ones in Teller and Rod. So do you think that they're going to kind of like open that up a little bit?
I'd like to see the door open, but I also hope they don't confuse people with it. Do you guys have thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think that you are going to get a lot of stuff about the dream in this season, but I think that's going to be more on the Perrin side.
Ooh, Wolf Dream. Okay, makes sense.
Sure.
I guess a couple things. One, does your opinion of whether we get to acceptance test change if it turns out that set they were on is the acceptance test set, but also, at least based on the X-ray, Swan is now a dreamer. Does that affect your thoughts on the focus on Egwene?
So I guess they did say, assuming that's where they did the accepted test, that room, they said it's going to be both in season 2 and season 3. So it might be Nynaeve in season 2 and Egwene in season 3, which would create more separation between what happened in the finale of season 1, and it wouldn't be, it might be like a fun callback as opposed to like, wow, we're really rehashing this, aren't we? Like they could have had a great line. I don't know.
Can you repeat that in the X-ray?
Yeah, the X-ray originally, Swan, it said, like Swan's X-ray specifically said she had the dreaming tablet.
I remember.
Yeah.
So y'all can hear it. The X-ray on Amazon Prime Video stuff says, or originally said, that Swan is a dreamer.
Changed.
But it doesn't say that now?
I can't remember what it says now.
'Cause I don't recall that.
Remember that it was like
It's heavily implied in the season too. When they're in the FFH, she's telling Moiraine about her dreams.
What do you mean Swan's a dreamer?
Yeah.
She wasn't a dreamer in the book. She had a totally different talent.
Yeah, she clearly had dreams
I
that.
do remember that the X-ray was distinctly like about dreaming.
I recall that too. Yeah, and then forgot immediately because there's so much. Did you have anything else about Egwene?
No.
Feeling pretty good? Everybody feeling pretty good about Egwene?
Yeah.
Feeling good, strong, but I don't feel great.
This isn't.
We can.
It's not good.
Move on. Ray did say, right, one of his favorite scenes in the entire show is with Egwene, and so we can all get hyped and scared and terrified, and we can move on. Okay. Perrin! All right, so we love Perrin. Our poor boy was traumatized last season, and I'm hoping personally to see him come out of his shell a little bit, especially because it looks like we've got our boy Elias along with him, possibly hunting the horn. So how do we feel about Perrin? Is he going to blow the horn, Tom?
No, I think he's going to blow the horn. I think that this is again talking to Grace's point, not about plot necessarily, but about character, right? I think you're hitting it on the head. This is the season that he starts to come to terms with what he did and be able to move past it in some way, and that's going to be a lot of what he's doing. And I think that his understanding of what he is, his tutelage by Elias or Elias, or however you're going to pronounce that, is going to help with that, as well as from what we saw of possible audition scenes, as well as his relationship to Aiel, right? As he meets them and kind of understands how they deal with doing things and having to deal with making mistakes and such. I have some. I don't know if you're talking about. I have some really crazy theories about what's going to happen with Perrin and the Wolf Dream.
That's what we're here for.
Okay. So here is my theory. The White Cloaks are going to be in this season. I think you're going to set up in this season again more of the White Cloaks versus Perrin dichotomy, and I think that what you're going to get is when Elias is in the Wolf Dream, he is Hopper. And Elias is going to get killed by the White Cloaks in this season. And that is how you are going to be okay with a wolf talking to him in the rest of the season, because you're going to know that that is a person, and you're going to be able to understand and have some kind of connection as a book reader kind of thing, like this is what it is. And I think it's going to give you kind of emotional stakes for Hopper as the season goes on. And it's going to give you, it's going to allow you to see Perrin like unleash his rage against the White Cloaks in a way that you didn't get that fully in the first season. So that's my my flag in the sand about Perrin.
I mean, I think there's a fine line, a nice tightrope to walk when it comes to talking to animals and having something still appear to be an adult property, like things that is for an adult. And so I kind of dig that. Like, I think it's cool. Obviously, we'll lose a little bit of Perrin. I mean, I guess I could still in some way communicate him getting, vibes from wolves, but just literally having voices.
Right.
Maybe that's something that we can only do when it's Elias. I kind of like that theory. Grace, how do you feel about it?
I always just envisioned it as maybe like flashes of images. That's kind of what I was hoping for. But if it is going to be talking, I think Tom's theory is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see Perrin and White Cloaks, especially now that we heard about Dain Bornhald. It sounds like he's going to have a pretty significant role. They had him talking for quite a while on the Q&A, which makes me think like he's a big part of the season. So it'll be cool to see that, to go a little deeper into that relationship.
So it looked like they got captured, right? Perrin, Elias, by the Shan though, correct?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Perrin's meeting up, he's hunting for the horn, meeting up at the Aiel, fighting the White Cloaks and the Shan. There's just like a lot going on.
So will you describe the Aiel meeting, or like the speculated Aiel meeting for people, just in case they don't know what we're talking about?
There was a leaked audition scene between him and, I believe, Aviendha. I don't remember exactly what they were talking about in it, but then we do see there is a shot of an Aiel fighting a White Cloak that was in one of the season 2 things. So this is all. Do you remember more of what they talked about in that season 2?
Yeah. So the scene, the Aviendha edition scene, is Perrin asking Aviendha to be in like they were beating one of the Aiel, because he just wants to like kind of, I think, go through some kind of serious penance, and her saying like, you don't understand anything that you just saw, basically, and that's not for you, right? And I think that I'm extrapolating there, that him getting an introduction to Gieto and understanding that like you can't suffer your way out of like dealing with things. Like, it's not just like, oh, you have X amount of suffering, you're okay now. That you have to like you have to own your stuff. Like, I think that's gonna help.
Yeah. Sure.
Just to that script leak or whatever that was. It's basically, it hints at a fight that took place, and Perrin saved Aviendha.
Yes.
And now Aviendha needs to follow Perrin or something like that, because
Yeah,
like Guy Shine kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why they're together.
She has toe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Like,
It echoes like the Gaul situation a little bit.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you saved my life, and now I've got to pay that back for you. Kind of a vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I have a recollection of, in that teaser video, that there was an early shot of Perrin with the Hunting the Horn group where Perrin appeared to be wearing a sword.
Yes.
And I am sort of thinking that, Perrin might be wearing this sword until that battle, and he loses the sword somehow and has to pick up a discarded axe to survive. And then that axe now becomes like something that was originally belonged to a White Cloak for the rest of the series. And it sort of can pick up extra symbolic relevance there.
I kind of love that. I think that's awesome. Good job. So I guess them getting trapped and captured by the Shan. Oh, did you?
I just thought of something like maybe he picks up an axe and then saves somebody with the axe, so it's like now it's okay to like go back to the axe after having used it to murder his wife, like with some symbolic of the axe.
Yeah, I like that. It feels like maybe that's how they're all gonna end up. Like we all gotta gather in on Palma somehow, right? So being captured by the Shan lends itself to that, in my opinion, in some way. Great. Perrin done. Moving on. So I feel like we haven't seen like a ton about her plot necessarily. Maybe we have her mom, so maybe we'll get her accepted test. We've got her fighting with a sword, so maybe she has a block. There's so many things that are like, what are we talking about here? What's going on? Is she gonna go try and rescue Egwene? all of that stuff. Grace, do you have, just give me Nynaeve's plot, start to finish. What do you think?
Every single beat.
Yeah, don't miss anything.
Well, I think we've seen her in what appears to be an accepted dress. So she's either, at the start of the season, either she's already accepted or we're going to see her test and she will become one. I think maybe we will see her test because there is an image from the teaser of her in like this field in a white dressing gown and her hair is loose, which, you know, obviously we never see it loose, it's always going to be in the braid. So that appears to me to be either dreamlike or maybe something happening in the test. And then as far as the sword fighting, I hope that it's just part of what Rafe was talking about with the White Tower training in terms of teaching them you can't always just trust the one power, you have to have other skills too, you have to be strong in other ways to defend yourself. Or, yeah, it could be about breaking her block as well. I hope we'll learn a little more about that because I know they alluded to it in episode 8, and she was having that problem with listening to the wind, so I'm sure there will be more about that as well. I don't know whether she'll go with Egwene to the Shan or follow. I feel like follow would be too similar to what happened in season 1, so probably she's with them.
They'll just break out like they
yeah, and I hope we get her rescuing Egwene like in book 2, because that's one of my favorite scenes.
For sure.
I have 2 things. I kind of like the idea of her just like wanting to hang out with the warders to kind of like, because she did bond with them a little bit, not literally, but you know. In season
Not
1,
yet.
like Lan's not here anymore. And the other thing that Rafe had said at one point that like all of the Emmons Field 5 were kind of going to be separated from each other a little bit. So if Nynaeve is accepted, maybe it kind of like takes her away from Egwene for some of it and lets Egwene kind of get together with Elayne and form that friendship, and then Nynaeve and Elayne maybe have to kind of come together to help Egwene. Because I don't know if Nin is going to be involved in any of this, but so Nynaeve and Egwene, Nynaeve and Elayne would form a friendship after Egwene got captured.
Yeah,
and try to rescue her.
And then Nynaeve and Elayne will have a long and storied friendship that we'll all enjoy every moment of, without a doubt, especially the circus plot. We're not going to have time. Okay, how do we, do you have any thoughts about Nynaeve's plot?
No,
Absolutely not.
No,
Moving on.
there's no reason. I think, I do think that they're going to take efforts to establish the block here, and I think it's a good pickup that in episode 8, like it's not addressed, but it's alluded to. All of a sudden, she's having issues, and I wonder. I do think you need to do that because otherwise, Nynaeve doesn't have a lot of like internal struggle to like deal with. It's just about how she has to help other people deal with their own, and I think you need that. Frankly, I think she's too good of an actress not to give her a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And so I hope they put that in because I want to see her frustration and how she refuses to do what everyone else does, and she wants to make sure she can do it the way that she needs to do it.
Yeah, she does have a lot, like she had a lot to do in season 1, so part of me wonders if they're separating A plots from B plots, and it seems like Egwene's going to be very important, and Rand, obviously. Maybe Nynaeve will have a little less airtime, and maybe 1 or 2 fewer insanely epic moments this season, you know, because last season she got most of them, like, you know, if I'm honest. So I do love Nynaeve, but I'm not sure she's going to be the focus this season. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you guys think that there's any Nynaeve Lan scenes at all this season? Except for as like potential accepted test stuff?
Question is Nynaeve Lan scenes, yay or nay?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, they might be in the same place eventually. I'd love a good reunion scene.
Yeah, the end.
Yeah, I think
They would have to, like, I don't, wherever they all end up.
I'll give it to us the accepted test.
Accepted test, and then not in real
I
life.
mean, in fact, maybe the scene where he doesn't have a shirt on. I wonder if that's her kind of in her life with, I wonder if that's in that accepted test.
Fantasyland, I can see that. Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think they meet IRL until like literally like the after the climax of the season, right? Like, okay, hey, wait, you all did it. Like that's when they see each other.
Yeah, I can see that. We'll go.
when they're in the tower, or Leandrin was saying, hey, what if we try and steal Nynaeve? Do you think we're going to see more of the Reds trying to influence her over to their side, or the other Ajahs battling over her?
I think Rafe loves that stuff. So my guess is yes. Also, I'm curious about whether we're going to start getting whispers about, well, even more whispers, because obviously there was tension in the tower in season 1, but I think tension is going to elevate in season 2, and getting to see Leandrin involved in that is so exciting because Kate Fleetwood is such a legend. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I wonder when we're going to see, like, kind of Swan's downfall, if that might be a part of the season.
Yeah.
To kind of push that up and get started with the going forward from what happens with that. Just to give the tower more stuff, because like we said, he loves the tower, and it's great. So to see more of that kind of stuff.
Big Swan thing. Okay, so speaking. Oh, sorry, Honest, what's up? What's up?
Do you think? I mean, one of the main motivations for Nynaeve is healing. Do you think we'll get any Nynaeve Logain scene in the tower where she's trying to figure out how to heal him?
I'm a little nervous about spoilers. So I'll rephrase the question. Is Nynaeve going to pursue healing like with the power as opposed to just with her herbs already this early in the tower? Grace, you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, she already did it in episode 4 at the end in a very extreme way, but I can't imagine that wouldn't come up in terms of her background as the wisdom and a healer, and then now learning this new way of doing it, and maybe it will add to her sort of animosity or tension between her and the Aes Sedai and how she feels about them, and sort of like, do I really want to learn this, or do I want to stick with my old ways? It's such a big part of her character, so I think it has to be there.
It could also come up in like tower politics where the yellows are courting her, you know, and maybe teaching her more about healing if they can through her block.
Yeah.
Did you have something you wanted to say about that?
No, I think they should also deal with the block and the thing like right, Nynaeve heals in a different way than the yellows traditionally do, and there could be frustration from both ends on that. That they could like put the emphasis on the block because they want her to show them what she does and she can't.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe, right?
Yeah. Speaking of blocks, let's talk about Moiraine and Lan. I guess we should first decide whether we think she's been shielded or still. I'll go first. I think she's been shielded. What do you guys think?
Shielded, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Does anybody in the audience, and you know, we will not make fun of you because any theory is a valid theory, think that she has been still? Okay, we got a few. Does that, okay, so after Rafe talks, like, I can't remember if it was a Q&A or whatever, and he's like, yeah, Moiraine's really gonna have, like a bigger struggle than people are expecting. There was something like that he said, and when he said that, I was like, okay, maybe, I don't know, like, it's sounding more like she might be still, but I'm not sure. How do you feel about Moiraine's plot this season?
So I think she was shielded because when we see it happening, he's kind of pushing the power back into her as opposed to when Logain got gentle, them pulling it out.
Yeah.
And he kind of like flicks his hand as if he's tying something off. So that's why I think that she was shielded. I also don't think like it'd be like really bad if she was still in the first season. I mean,
crazy.
But yeah, I think she's going to be going to possibly other Aes Sedai who aren't in the tower for help with not being shielded anymore, figuring out how to not be shielded, because we got to see Rosamund Pike channeling in season 2. I just don't think it would be good if she was shielded for the entire season. But I also think that she will end up in Cairhien, and we'll kind of see a little bit more about her backstory, her history as a Cairhien noble. And we know that Barthanes is going to be in this season. We don't know how big that part will be, but I think that her history will be brought up more this season to give her and Lan something to do.
Sure. Tom, you think Lan's just going to be bestie sidekick, or is he going to have anything like kind of independent of Moiraine to do this season?
I think that is exactly what his plotline is going to be. Like he has a role that he has spent the last XTX years of his life using to fill the hole that he has. Which is like, okay, my job is to go and die. right, basically, right, or whatever, and I'm gonna be by this person's side and help this person's cause, and now does this person have a cause anymore? And what is my role, and what do I do? And like, I think that's going to be his character arc, is like, how do I exist if I do have to exist without, like, Moiraine? Like, who am I? And he's going to be dealing with but he wants to be with somebody else right now, right? And like that part of it. So I think that's there. I think that, to Jen's point, I don't think tying off a shield is something that exists yet in this age. If you think about it, right? When you see them shielding Logain all throughout the first season, they're constantly, actively shielding him, and to the point where they're working themselves to exhaustion. I think that is the thing that she has to figure out, is that, like, he tied off this, what is that? How do you do that? Can you undo that? And like, that's gonna be her narrative quest, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think it's both of them kind of grappling with who are they, because all they've been for the last 20 years have been hunting for the dragon.
And I think they're like the perfect actors to have existential crises throughout the season, because we love to see them cry, and like, because they're so good at it, you know, like it adds emotional weight to the series. And if you've got Rosamund Pike, Daniel Henney, you use them to their fullest potential, I think.
That's right.
Good on Lan and Moiraine? All right. I don't even know.
Oh,
yeah! Okay, new kid on the block. We kind of talked about her in the sense that she might interact with Nynaeve whenever they maybe go rescue Egwene. We're going to meet her. Her and Egwene are going to buddy up. Is there anything that we might not expect or might be surprised by from Elayne? Or is there anything else you want to talk about with respect to Elayne?
Well, I just want to say at Comic-Con we also saw a scene with Elayne and Egwene, where Elayne kind of walks into Egwene's room. It seems like they're meeting for the first time, and she's like, "Oh, you must have just got here too. This room is a mess, you know." And Egwene's like, "No, this is all my stuff, you know." It's like an awkward, but she's so nice about it and sweet. She doesn't seem like a snob. She's just like, "Oh, like I'm just used to being ready." So it's just like perfect Elayne. I just think she's gonna be excellent.
Yeah. I agree. Everything I've seen from her, like interview-wise and stuff, she just seems like she embodies the character
Like
so
her
well.
Instagram is like Elayne. If Elayne had an Instagram, like those are the pictures you want.
Yeah, she's fabulous. Any other thoughts about Elayne? I don't know what to expect other than her book plot, basically.
Right.
So
I think that Elayne coming to the tower is the introduction to the tower stuff in this series. I think that the time jump is they're there, but you're going to see everything from her point of view, her coming in. And I'm hoping that also meets scope of the tower, or whatever, because I know like part of the things that I like we talk about on our show, like the tower seems very small in the first season, right? You only see like a few rooms, so I'm hoping like she's going to be like our entryway into like what the tower is. But other than that, yeah, I think that her storyline is going to be relatively straightforward. I'm curious about how much there's going to be, and I don't know the answer at all, how much of her brothers are going to be, and like how much, is there a dynamic that's going to be important to this season?
lots of people thought Jay Duffy was going, and so now, I don't know. And the question with her also is she bringing Elayne with her? Is that when things really kick off in the tower? And we don't have a casting yet, so like speculation about Natasha O'Keefe. So we'll see, basically.
Just really quickly we have like a bar set with like how handsome Dain Bornhald is. So like Gawain and Claude have to be like like the sun, you can't even look at him.
Gawain could be, however.
No, Gawain's handsome. He's just annoying and makes bad decisions.
Sula?
Is she gonna meet Rat
Is she going to meet?
today, this season?
Oh.
No.
In the end?
No?
I think no.
Okay. It's a Rand and Min season this season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Boy, this is...
They'll be at the same place at the same time.
When?
Valma?
Like all of them will be there. At the
Yeah?
end, all four of them should be there.
Cool.
Right? Let's just see what happens. Let's get all four of them in a room and let's just see what happens.
I think we talk about this more in the next panel.
Right.
Yeah.
Stick around.
True, stick around. Season 3 speculation. Okay. We only have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure we get in Aviendha because we got to see her yesterday, and I think she was so amazing. But what the heck is she doing in this season? Am I right? Like, why is she here? I'm excited. Grace, do you have thoughts?
Well, we know she's with 2 spear sisters. I would imagine, if we're going from the books, maybe they are looking for the Karakarn, and they run into the Shine Irons and Perrin, and something happens, and the scene Anas was talking about where she saves him, or he saves her. I can't figure out which way around. He saves her. So beyond them, I think we saw in one of the teasers what looked like an Aiel fighting a White Cloak, so we're never going to see that. So I think we'll see Aiel, Perrin, White Cloaks kind of all in the same orbit, but beyond that, I'm not really quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, they crossed the Dragon Ball, right? So they're around,
Yeah.
and it would make sense to introduce one of the best ones in season 2 as early as possible, maybe. I don't know, Tom, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that it's the same thing with Elayne. Like, I don't think that she meets Rand and has any significant interactions with him in this season at all. But I think that she is going to be introduced. She's going to be introduced in the Perrin storyline to be part of that, and I think that storyline is going to introduce us to the Aiel, right, and what they are and who they are. I think that, like, for an audience point of view, one of her main goals of this season is for us to understand what this culture is. And I think they're going to make her as awesome and cool as possible, right? So that you get excited, like that she's going to be around.
Yeah, as is right and good, because she is cool.
Yes.
Exciting. The green shirt.
So what does this mean for Gaul?
Well, we got Bain and Chiad, we gotta get Gaul eventually.
So yeah, my theory is season 2 explores the relationship between Bain and Chiad. You get to know them a bit more and understand what being a spear sister means, being first sisters, and then I think we get Gaul in season 3 to kind of add a little conflict there.
Well, how do you get the interaction between them? Because when you lose Gaul's scene,
with Perrin.
and then how they tease him so much about that as things go forward, how their interaction.
There's plenty of things to tease us.
I will tell you this though. I until yesterday, I didn't think that Gaul was going to be on the show.
I think that goal might be in the season.
I
I mean,
think-
there have to be male Aiel with them too. Like, we can't just.
Not necessarily.
Why?
We don't need that.
I don't know, we've only seen female Aiel so far, so like,
Except for the dead one.
the dead one, you're right, okay, I take it back.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first Aiel they meet and actually meet in the books are just the maidens.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right, it's not even company, but like, it is just the maidens, so people know that.
I just want to say, I really like the idea of seeing a cold open, the episode that we meet the Aiel, seeing a cold open of the Aiel in the waste, deciding to leave the Threefold Land in search of the
That could be
Karakarn.
cool.
So cool.
And we know that they did some filming in Morocco, which I guess maybe was probably film, but
There were a few locations there.
you can film 2 things in Morocco.
The idea was
This one.
we could get a cold open with the Aiel deciding to cross the Dragon Wall, which I think is another excellent idea. Look at you. Sure, absolutely. Sorry, I'll do my best. Okay, so we only have a couple of minutes. I think we covered the main. Oh yeah, actually, wow, I am incredible at moderating.
Good job.
Anybody have? We have time for like one question. Green, yeah.
Thoughts on cold opens we'll get this year?
Ooh, cold open speculation. Okay, let's go down the line and each of us predict one.
Darkman
hold
Social.
on. Oh, let me read.
Oh, no.
It's the only one I know.
Wow. I think I repeated it right. We're
Yes.
speculating about cold opens.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's the cold open episode 1. I think that you're right, and that's gonna be the cold open after you meet the Aiel.
Or
next episode, right?
Contextualize.
I think there is going to be a cold open at the episode after the Lanfear reveal of Lanfear coming. Sorry,
all the
man.
answers.
Lanfear coming out of the board. Yeah.
What about a cold open, another flashback cold open of Lanfear in the Age of Legends?
Ooh.
Where scientists go are.
That's like mirroring.
What if all the cold opens are land fear at different points of her life? That thoughts?
Too plausible.
You guys stole mine. I don't know. I'm always gonna hope and dream that we're gonna be able to eventually replace Winter Dragon with like a live action prologue for book 1, but you know, that was in the animated shorts. So, you know, if you haven't watched that yet, you should, because it's excellent. But I would still love to see it, you know, IRL.
Yeah, I do think that we're going to get a cold open from the Age of Legend, at least one every season.
Yeah.
All right, I believe that is time, and I didn't see any hands, so hopefully that was great. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.